Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 22 as always. And in today's video, we are doing something a little bit different, but hopefully this will actually help out quite a few people, because ever since we've had this patch 1.06 where the handling model has changed quite significantly, that really has affected a lot of people's lap times, and I do feel quite sorry for people who are quite new to these games and the handling has changed this much. And if you don't know certain things within the setups, then it's going to become quite a difficult experience for you. So I feel if you aren't aware of some of the changes you need to make from a TT setup to a race setup, then this should improve your lap times quite drastically, and you will see exactly what I mean in this video. So I've loaded in my Hungary TT setup that I have already uploaded, and before the patch you could run maximum tire pressures pretty comfortably everywhere. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do 5 laps, turn down the AI to a low level and turned off the collisions so they're not really interfering and affecting my race. And we're just going to do 5 full laps without using the ERS at all. This is by no means a perfect test, but I think you will see by the results of this that it's pretty overwhelming. So I'm going to show my tyre temperatures for the entire time. And with this setup previously on the previous build, there was no real issue running maximum tyre pressures anywhere. They didn't really overheat that significantly. As long as you were driving fairly smoothly, then it wasn't really an issue. And on these games, you still want to try and run as high tyre pressures as you can, because not only will that help your straight line speed, but it will also give you more grip going into the high speed corners, which is very important for these cars. And what I found since this patch is that the tyres are now much more susceptible to overheating, because if you look at my tyres here, my left rear is already on 101 degrees, and you'll see as the laps goes on it only gets worse, and you don't really get a lot of oversteer when the tyres overheat because it's mainly the rears. It's more that you get chronic understeer, and I said it in my last video. I was racing around this circuit and I was using my previous TT setup, which on the previous builds, TT setups could work very well when driving online because tyre temperatures weren't really an issue. And back then, I would actually say there was no such thing as a TT or race setup, because as long as you were driving smoothly, you could use setups from time trial and still control the tyre temperatures and there wouldn't be an issue. Because if you didn't know, in time trial the tyre temperatures are locked in place, so it's always pretty much always beneficial to run at max pressures, because you're still going to have that grip going to the high speed and that better straight line speed, but then you're not going to get the consequence of your tyres overheating. But that was also the same thing when playing online. But now with this patch, you can see my left rear is already on 105 degrees. And if you pay attention to the lap times as well, so our first lap was a 23.2. What is this going to be? This is an 18.9. So keep that lap time in mind as this video goes on. And yeah, you can just see our tyres are just so hot. It doesn't feel that bad when I'm driving. It feels like I can still go into the corners, but you will see after this where we use exactly the same setup, but we adjust our tyre pressures, and I think you'll be blown away of how much difference that actually is. And you can see here, and you can see by my face, that the understeer really was starting to set in. The car just wanting to always wash away. And when I mean wash away, I actually mean that it just wants to go straight on and just understeer. And we did an 18.9 on the previous lap. Let's see what we do at the end of this one. So 57 middle split. And we're not using any ERS, as I said, and I felt like I was driving pretty well. There's always give and take, maybe a second overall I could have gained throughout this run, but overall it was a fairly good run. As we come through this last corner, let's see what that time's going to be now. It's going to be a 19.9, so we've lost 1 second from the previous lap, and now the tyres are hitting 106 degrees, so almost at its maximum temperature that it can get. And yeah, just the understeer just kept getting worse and worse. And I think this is what a lot of people are experiencing. They're using the time trial setups from the previous build, and I think everything is still good with the setup. It's just the tyre pressures you need to adjust. Of course, you can adjust things such as the suspension if you feel a little bit of instability. But in my opinion, you just need to drive very smoothly, and as long as you're not sliding around, then the setup should be good for you. But on this patch, this build now, I feel there really is no choice but to significantly lower the tyre pressures. As you can see, 106 degrees for pretty much all the tyres now. As we did a 19.9 last lap. Let's see what we do on this one. And as I said, I felt like I was driving pretty well here. Couldn't really be going that much faster. As now we do a 20.1, so not too much slower, but the tyres have already kind of peaked at their temperature. So there was a really big difference between lap 2 and 3. Go give it everything on this last one now and see what our total race time will be. And as we go through to here, doing this quite nicely and going to the top of this hill, really want to try and hook this curb on the inside as much as you can. It's good that they finally fixed the sector times on the top right hand side, so a little bit less than a month to wait, but it's good that that finally has been sorted. But yeah, the car now just feels, yeah, apart from the end of that one, it just, the understeer was just getting worse and worse all the time. So coming through to here, let's see what the middle split's going to be. It's a 57.2, so about a tenth down on the previous lap. You can see pretty much 3 tyres are all on 106 degrees now, apart from the rear right. So we're going to finish off this lap and coming through into here, just giving it absolutely everything we can. Use all the track at the exit, and coming across side, it's going to be a 20.3. And yeah, you know, maybe you could gain a bit of time overall for sure, maybe a second and a bit or something like that, but it wasn't a bad run at all. So we're not going to cut this at all, just so you can see that I am using the same setup exactly. And as we come through here, let's see what the total race time was. So it's a 6-minute 42 seconds, 0.7. So 6:42 is what you got to remember. And if you look at that times, it was an 18.9 as my fastest lap. And then it pretty much improved, pretty much got worse by a second lap, and then about a tenth or so a lap from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight back in, and I'm going to show you the setup is exactly the same. But what we're going to change here is the tyre pressures. So now we are going to lower the tyre pressures to absolute minimum. Now let's see what happens here. So we're going to have 5 lights, and as they go out now, I'm trying to get a good start. And again, not going to use any ERS whatsoever, just to try and make it as fair as possible. And we're going to leave the tyre temperatures on all the time, and pretty much by the end of lap 2 it was on 105 degrees, and I think it got to 101 degrees by the end of lap 1. So really pay attention to that. And pretty much almost immediately I felt like there was just so much more grip in the car, and especially going through here, the car just wants to bite, and you can see I actually almost turned in too early because there was just so much rotation. Coming through into here, the car is just going exactly where I want it to be. And if you look at the temperatures, they haven't even, well, they've just gone to 94 degrees now. Coming through into here, that's going to be still on 94 degrees. At this point, we're on 100, so 6 degrees more than this. And let's see what's going to be at the end of the lap. And I think our first lap before was a 23.2. Let's see what's going to be here. It's coming through here. The tyres are on about 96 and 96 degrees now. And coming across the line, it's a 23.0, so only 2 tenths faster. But as your tyres go on, that's when it really starts to come into effect. So let's see what it's going to be at the end of this lap. So keep an eye on those tyre temperatures once again. But yeah, in terms of the grip of the car, I just felt I had so much grip. And it was at this point, when I go through this left or right, it's where I really started to feel the car become chronic understeer. You can see it's just turning in so nicely coming through into here. And a lower tyre pressure is going to put more surface area of the tyre on the track, which will give you better traction. Won't be as fast in a straight line though. A lot of people have said that is unrealistic, that a lower pressure will help tyre temperatures. So again, I'm not pretending to be an expert on the physics and mechanics, so please let me know what you think. But in the game, historically, a lower tyre pressure does help with the temperatures quite a lot. As you can see here, we're not even hitting 100 degrees, so 98 on the front left and front right is the maximum, now 99, and going across the line it's an 18.0. You can see the smile on my face. That is 9 tenths faster than what we did, and we haven't used any ERS. The setup is exactly the same, and I feel like we're driving the same. We're not driving 9 tenths faster, and you can see with a faster lap time, the tyre pressures or the tyre temperatures are much lower. So basically what I say to you is that if you've been struggling on this patch, I would encourage you to put your tyre temperatures to a minimum as a baseline. So all the TT setups that I've done so far and all the time trial setups that you download, please note that maximum pressures in time trial do not affect the tyre temperatures since they are locked, and it's more beneficial to run maximum pressures if the tyre temperatures aren't affected. So in time trial, you'll always see every set pretty much running maximum pressures, but you can still use that setup. But when you come to playing Grand Prix mode or My Team, career or online, I would strongly advise you to put your tyre pressures to a minimum to start with. As come across line now, we've actually just gone even faster, so we've done a 17.8, so that's a 1.1 seconds faster, and that's actually 2 seconds faster than we did on lap 3 in the previous test. So you can see it's an absolute night and day difference. We still haven't cracked 100 degrees yet as well, as we're lapping 2 seconds faster, which is just absolutely nuts. So yes, my TT setups and other people's setups, I don't think you really need to change much. Obviously, if you feel you need more stability going into the corners and other parts of the track, then you can play with the suspension. But in my opinion, they're still very much usable. You just need to run minimum tyre pressures. And as you can see here, I think this could gain you up to a second, sometimes 2 seconds a lap once the race has really gone on for a period in itself. And you can see we're still setting a purple middle sector as well, because the optimal tyre range or tyre temperature range is around 98 to 99 degrees on this game. So I would set your pressures to an absolute minimum, and if they're not getting close to 97, 98, they're actually a bit too cool, then just increase your tyre pressure until it does get to 97, 98. So that would be my advice, and I think that is a very quick fix or tip for people who don't understand the setups. I think you'll be benefiting much more from this change. And I don't know quite what we did on the last lap, but we will pay attention to what our overall time will be. And as you can see, our tyres have go nowhere near close to 105 degrees. I think it's only 101 on the front left, as it just does that now. But the grip going through the corners was just... The grip was so much better, but it was also just so much more planted as well. I just felt so much more traction, and yeah, it just felt like I was driving a completely different car, honestly. As I carry through into here, we're doing a 55.8. I remember that we were doing a 57.2 on this last lap, so almost 1.4 seconds faster than what we were doing as we're coming through into this last corner. Let's see if we hit 102 degrees. We might hit 102 degrees, but it's still not overheating up much. And no, we don't even hit 102 degrees. And going across the line is an 18.2. So not only are we faster, but the tyres don't drop off anywhere near as much as well. So that is my advice. On the previous patch, I used to say there was no such thing as a race setup from a TT, but now I'd 100% say when you're using TT setups online, make sure you lower the tyre pressures to a minimum as a baseline, and then simply increase until you get to 97, 98 degrees. And you can see 6 minutes 35. So that is over 7 seconds faster than we did in the total time. So 7 seconds faster in 5 laps, which is just absolutely insane. So it shows that the setups still work. You just need to lower those tire pressures. So thank you so much. Please like the video if you found this particularly useful and it has helped you out. Make sure you subscribe for more F1 22 content. Also, a special thank you to these extra rotation members who have joined my YouTube membership recently. Hopefully you're enjoying my updated setups, which I am putting in my Discord there. Make sure you go to www.coachlimitless.com for one-to-one coaching with me, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.